Since those are, so I am out of half walk. Does have a, anyway. Stay tuned for part 2 of Midsummer, in which you will still not see Florence Pugh doing any whining. I need to start part 2 of Midsummer with an apology to Florence Pugh. She actually is a very good actress. I saw her in Little Women by Greta Gerwig. She had a supporting role in that, and she was also in Black Widow with Scarlett Johansson. I'm sure she's been in a lot more that I haven't seen, but my wife and I both very much enjoyed her personality and her delivery in those 2 films. The problem with Midsummer is that her character is so pathetic, just so whiny and pouting the whole time. And I know it fits the plot of the film. It's you know, really her despair and what it leads to in that film is really the central theme. But it just made her character so unlikable that when she did a good job portraying an unlikable character, it just made the whole thing unlikable. So anyway, as much as I opened part 1 by criticizing her, what I really meant was the character she portrayed. And with that abject groveling apology, let's begin part 2. The first thing I did on July 1st was my usual weigh-in, and I have the results there, 220.6 pounds. That is a nice weight to be, actually, but it's not what I want to be, so still working on bringing that a lot lower. And then I got into the workouts for the 2 months. Now, my first impulse as I sat down to take notes for this episode was, gosh, I really didn't do much in July and August. Kind of a wasteland. That would be exaggerating. I've said that before about periods in my life where I really didn't do much at all. But the more I gathered the footage, I went, I guess I really did get to the gym more than I thought. It wasn't consistent. It wasn't great. But I would be illegitimately kicking myself if I just said those 2 months were nothing. I've done the usual. I've put together a montage of the shots, but I do need to preface this one just for fun. On YouTube Shorts, I put up a public announcement saying, when I do these montages, I pick music that I like. Let's see what you pick. And so I threw it open to the wide world to go to my account on Epidemic, well, not my account, but to go to epidemicsound.com and pick a piece of music for the next montage. I said, don't pick a piece of music that goes with a workout. Pick the piece of music you find that you think is the least likely to go with a workout. And the first person to send me a result was Daniel Branovinsky. He was right there. He saw that video and he went, okay, yeah. So I will highlight one epic fail. I did technically get crushed under the barbell for one set, but I did discover with some advice that these guardrails actually come up to the perfect height so that when I lose control of the bar, I can roll it down my chest and it won't hit my neck, so that then I can slide out from under it while it rests on the support bars. If you have a machine like that at your gym, I highly recommend it, especially on days where you do not have a workout partner or a spotter. I have suffered the inconvenience of having to tip the weights to the side so that the plates on one side fall off, and the moment they do, the other side slams and it jars through my whole body. And it's better than being pinned under the weights, but having that support bar is even better than that option. Part one of going through my summer spent a lot of time on the cardio that I did in July. I will just briefly touch on the cardio I did in August, and basically I kept doing cardio. I went out to the track, I went out for jogs. I don't have a lot of footage, but I do have, where is it? Well, there's this shot here where I'm out for my anniversary jog. My wedding anniversary, not my fitness anniversary. I went for a jog on my wedding anniversary. And I brought along my headphones, and I'll tell you, when I got to the musical number from Frozen, just couldn't help singing along for you there.
Well, I am ticked. Several years ago, I was out for a jog. It might have been a full 13 years ago when I was just getting started. And out of nowhere, one of my calves experienced this popping sensation. I actually felt it. And from that point on, I could barely walk on it for several days. Now, I don't know, in terms of physical sensation, I don't know the difference between a strain, a sprain, a tear, or whatever else could possibly happen to a muscle. So I don't know what it was that I got. I have experienced it a handful of times since then. Here we are at the end of August. My summer is quickly disappearing. I haven't had a chance to go for a hike. I've barely had time to go outdoors and do the things that I normally do during the summer. You may have noticed there have been no episodes that have the Summer of the Big Tiger intro sequence. I haven't really had a summer the way I like to have a summer. So here we are, chilly weather, summer coming to an end, and tonight, out at the track for a jog, my right calf decided it was time to experience that pain. I have goals to reach. I'm trying to get new PRs for my 1 mile time and my big loop and my small loop. And my calf has decided that I am now out of commission, probably for at least a week. Now, on the plus side, it did not actually go pop this time. If it had gone pop, I would not be walking along, even with a mild limp, talking to you quite capably into a camera. I would be limping horribly, moaning with every step. That's what happens when it actually pops. Maybe half a dozen times in my life that it's done that while I've been jogging. So there is hope that this will be very short-lived. Because otherwise, yeah, I am ticked.
One of the few times that I went out and did the canyon stairs for my cardio, I had an interesting incident. This is not the first time it's happened, but this was the most severe. So as I get older, this is something that I will want to pay a little more attention to, and maybe even go to a doctor someday and see if we can figure out if I've got low blood pressure. Although every time I've been to the hospital or a doctor, my blood pressure has been just fine. So I don't know. But it was also a warm day. And when I finished the 30 minutes, or as I was finishing the 30 minutes, I started to see red, basically. There's two different ways in which, three different ways in which my body kind of reveals that I'm not getting the oxygen flow I should be getting. One of them is little white spots, and another one is sort of a white cloud that briefly forms a donut in the middle of my vision. And the third one is a lot of seeing red and feeling faint. And I kind of got a little of all of each of those on this particular day. At the end, you'll actually see me stumble off out of the shot here. I just laid down on the road. There's a concrete pylon that casts a shadow, and I laid down in the shadow, and it was several minutes. I was late for work because I couldn't get up and cart the camera back to the house without fainting. The few times I did try standing up, I just couldn't do it. I finally eventually got enough strength back, but even then, at carrying the camera and the tripod and going the block to my house, I walked on neighbors' lawns the whole way just in case anything happened. So that is the most severe that's ever been. And again, I will see about, well, one, not going out on quite so hot days anymore. Two, making sure I have more water in my system before I even start. And then three, if I get the time and money, maybe even just a physical checkup. I haven't had a full physical since college, high school. Yeah. On the subject of cardio or pedestrian exercise, I am extremely disappointed. I was so busy this summer. I had so much constantly going on between work and family and projects. I only got in one official hike.
It's so nice to finally be out on a hike all alone in the peaceful countryside. And it was nice to be out all alone.
It was a good one. I enjoyed it. I went with my youngest daughter. She actually wanted to join me on one of Daddy's hikes this time. These are kids who, they used to, my son, when my son was young, a 1 mile hike would have him crying that his legs hurt, crying, like tears. And this summer he actually wanted to join me on one. I think I mentioned it long ago. We got about a third of the way around and it was just too hot. So, but this time I went the whole way, and my daughter went with me. We had a good time.
August is almost over, and I finally get to go hiking. This time, I'm bringing along my youngest daughter. Where is she? There she is. She thinks she can handle 6.5 miles. We're about to find out. Well, this one's kind of an exciting first. This is the first time in my life that I have heard a rattlesnake in person. So, not a sound effect in a movie, not on some kind of audio recording, but an actual rattlesnake. Yes, Central Oregon and the Smith Rock area do have rattlesnakes. Not a lot. It's not like Texas. We don't have an annual roundup to kill thousands of them, but we do have them, and that's another good reason to stay on the trail, by the way. But yeah, my daughter and I were walking along. She was ahead of me. All of a sudden, she stopped and turned as if she heard something. And as I reached the spot where she was looking back, I heard it too. It sounded kind of like a rodent rustling in the bushes. If we had not been warned in advance by somebody coming up the trail the other way who said, by the way, in about 900 meters, you'll hear a rattlesnake, I might have stopped out of curiosity to see what it was, and then who knows how this story might have ended. But instead, we figured out quickly what we were hearing. And I'll tell you, the first time you hear that, and you know what it is, the moment you realize what it is, the adrenaline kicks in and the hiking speeds up.
I do hope, Central Oregon's a little strange. We can sometimes get a bounce in the weather in the middle of October. So as we head into October here on my time, I'm going to keep an eye out for a nice warm day where I can just get out. Even though I didn't get to any of the big hikes that I really enjoy, the 10 and 12 mile hikes, if I can do the 6.5 mile again, that'll be good. But I'm going to keep an eye out for warm weather. And of course, it will be documented here. And as we head into winter, I think I finally need to do it. I think I finally need to create episodes about outdoor activity in Central Oregon. And if I create them early enough, it might talk some of you into coming and visiting in the summer of 2025. Because if you're into fitness, or you're even just a fan of this video series, I'd love to have you stop through and we'll catch one of these hikes. During those 2 months, I did try to focus moving my diet more toward what it should be. And one of the weekly goals I set for myself somewhere in perhaps August, I think, was to consume 100 grams of protein a day. Now, according to the average weightlifter bro science, it should be about 220 grams. But rather than just jump right into that and do the thing I do where when I try to get it right on day one, I fail miserably, I thought, okay, let's go for half of that. Let's see what it takes to eat 100 grams of protein a day. And I can tell you this, I discovered that my daily eating habits are woefully short of that, very, very low on protein. Now I know, I mean, you can tell by looking at me that my eating habits are not what they should be, but I was surprised at how little protein I consume. Never mind, the skyrocketing fats and carbs, but just, I mean, to get in 100 grams was a challenge. And so it's going to be an even bigger challenge to hit 200 grams a day. But I need to start getting on that, or, even at my age, the muscle I want, the muscle I can achieve at my age is not going to get there if I'm not consuming the protein to add the muscle, to build the muscle. I know testosterone goes down and I'm on the downhill side of things, but I'll build what I can. And to do that, I do still have to fuel the body. I have to head out pretty soon. I am taking my son to the movie theater, and we will have a good time there, I'm sure. But before we go, let's take a quick look at the weight chart, and we will look at the weight chart for the whole year, not just for the 20. And as you can see, it bounced up fast. It has just created this big arc all the way through almost nearly or just about the first half of the year. Then it starts to descend. Then there's this one bounce right there, and then it starts to come down. And so I am happy to report, without going into a lot of detail about what you're looking at there, I am happy to say that it has come down, and I have been sort of hovering, bouncing around 217, 18, 219, 220 and 221, just that little bracket right there. I've been staying in there, which is better than it's been for a while, I've been averaging up higher. As the 20 wraps up and as I head into the fall, my goal is to keep that weight going down. I'd still like to hit 200 by the end of the year. Going to be a little tricky with Thanksgiving and Halloween and Christmas coming up, but we'll see. And then but if I can even just keep it down, if I can even set a new record this year, if I can hit 210, that would be the lowest adult weight on record in my entire fitness pursuit from 2008 to now. So that's the story there. And that's the story of my midsummer. It could have been better, but it could have been worse. It was an okay summer. And I am in better shape for having tried than if I had just given up. So thank you for watching, and best wishes to Florence Pugh. And to the rest of you, see you next time on A Body in Progress.